morning, my car people. Brandon from the 138 Automotive Alliance coming at you early morning on a Sunday. It's cold out here, fall weather setting in, beginning of September 2024, and working on this EX35. This is a 2009 Infiniti EX35. This is my daughter's car. She turned 16 this month, so hopefully she'll be ready to pass her driver's test. We've been practicing. But picked this up for her about almost a year ago in Indiana. Drove out to Indiana, paid like $7,000 for it. It had 145-ish thousand miles on it at the time. It has 155,000 on it now, and it's doing all right. Interior's nice for the time, 2009. It's got the cameras underneath the mirrors and on the front bumper, and in the rear, our front grille, which gives you a nice little 360 view on your parking. Pretty cool. I was amazed by Nissan's tech back in 2009, what they did on this car, but pretty amazing. The neat thing about this, and what made me choose it, because I knew I would be driving it for a year before my daughter, and this fit what she was looking for, is this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm telling you, these are built on the same platform as the Nissan 350Z and the Infiniti G35, both well known in the tuner and drift communities. Pretty good bang for your buck, a lot of potential, a lot of aftermarket support, and this has the same pretty much drivetrain chassis, just sits up a little higher. It has the VQ35HR, and in this year put out 297 horsepower. I'm giving my daughter her first car that has 297 horsepower. They were available in a rear wheel drive only version, which I would have preferred, but for safety decided to go with the all-wheel drive for my daughter. So she's gonna have an all-wheel drive, has some good safety features on it, looks really nice, not too big, not too small. The porch was just right on this one. So today I'm making this video because hearing a wheel bearing noise up front, and it's the passenger wheel. She's hopefully getting her license this month, so I want things to be in good working order. We're also driving this to a concert in St. Louis this coming Friday, so I want to make sure we don't have any complete failure of that part on the way up. And the first step is, of course, I'm going to get under here and spray down all these bolts I'm going to be removing so I don't round them off or break them. But one thing about this car and getting it up is it sits so low. Get low, get low, get low. So I actually had to drive it up on these little homemade low profile ramps of mine with ends of skateboards for a smooth transition. Drive it up on those, and then able to get my floor jack underneath. I really need a low profile floor jack, but I don't have one yet. So shout out to Harbor Freight, send me one, man. I'll pop it in this video, you know what's up. But this jack will not get under my Porsche since I redid the suspension on that and lowered it a little bit. So I got to do this for getting under the front of a couple of my cars now. So kind of an extra step that's a pain, but I'm going to hit these bolts that I'm going to be taking off for the hub with some penetrating oil, and then come back at you a little bit later and see if I can get it off with ease. All right, so back out here with the Infiniti, and I got it all jacked up and got the wheel, and the rotor and caliper moved aside, and this is what I'm working with. This wheel bearing is all part of assembly, which is, you know, this rotating hub here with your lug nuts is part of that, I believe. So there's a couple bolts on top too, and there's 2 on the bottom. I got this axle nut, got it all sprayed down with penetrating oil so I don't break them off or round them. Don't want that happening. That'll set me back, and I've been there, done that. You got guns, yo, we got straps. And there's my part, Master Pro. Probably not what I would choose if I had more time, but O'Reilly's here had it in stock, and I decided to go with that so I could get this done quick. Usually I check Rock Auto first. I'm not affiliated with them, but hey, they got good prices, and a lot of times they have what I need, and I probably could have got a better quality part for cheaper than that one, or a much better part for the same price as that. Paid $110 for it. So yep, gonna let these guys soak up some of that oil, that sweet nectar, and then we're gonna hit them here in just a little bit and see what happens. All right, came back out here. Had sprayed those bolts, and boom, removed. So axle goes right through there. This whole assembly comes out here. Just got a spot for your ABS you got to go through, so make sure you note your orientation of this thing when you take it out. These bolts on the back that came through these slots here, it did help to get in and turn the steering so I could get to these over here a little bit better. They're a bitch, man. I'm telling you, this is a job you can do yourself, but you gotta have your patience, and you gotta have some different sockets and extensions and different kind of things, because some of them you need a little more links, some of them you need them being close just by where the other suspension components are. But got it out, so that's good. Next, I'm gonna clean up in there with a wire wheel, wire brush, wire wheel, something like that. Need to get that going, because one of the harder things, believe it or not, this was so seized on there and probably around here, that I really had to beat on it and knock it loose and work it and spray penetrating oil. That took as much time as any of the bolts. So just a heads up, spray this stuff down ahead of time, take your time, make sure you got a good bite on them. Did use that hammer there to kind of beat on my 1/2-inch ratchet. You can put a lot of straight force on them, but usually if you smack them around a little bit with the hammer, it kind of works like an impact. That's going to break them loose a little bit better. So just a little tip. Also, don't forget to remove your ABS sensor before you pull that hub off, because that sticks down in there and will break that guy off. I always like to put my bolts kind of back in place as much as I can, just so ease of putting back together and knowing where things go, and also less likely that you're going to lose stuff. So I'm going to clean this up and then get back with you. We're almost there. I almost got it done. Wow, still got to tighten that axle nut. That gets torqued to like 170 something pounds, I think. I'll check that before I tighten it, but gonna have to do that when the wheel comes back on, gets put back on, because it will spin. So gotta wait on that, but getting ready to slap the wheel back on, tighten that up, put the little cotter pin in there, and we'll be good to go. Main takeaway, if you want to tackle this job yourself, is having a good set of sockets up to a 22mm, which you'll need, and the one for the axle nut, which I think is a 32. Don't know if you can see that, but 32mm. Having an impact to get that off was nice, and Gonna make it a lot easier if when you're hitting the bolts that are behind that hold the wheel bearing housing hub thing in place, whatever it's called, I don't know the technical terms. I just take it off and put it back on. Turn the wheel as you go, because the ones on either side, you can definitely get better access around the other suspension components if you turn the wheel. So do that, come out early, get the brakes off, spray those bolts down. Gonna make them easier to get off, and you'll be golden. Have a good day.